giving, receiving. It's like in-breath and an out-breath. Do it with me. In-breath, receiving, out-breath, giving. Again, in-breath, receiving, out-breath, giving. Now let's change it up a little bit. Out-breath, giving, out-breath, giving, out-breath, giving. Not very comfortable, is it? Only breathing out, or for that matter, only breathing in, isn't an exchange, and it doesn't work too well, does it? There are those who think that the center of ministry and of church is caring for others. This is a beautiful thing, and I've experienced loving care at this congregation and at my home congregation. I've been on the caring committee in both places, and I've seen remarkable acts of generosity. One church arranged for congregants to drive with a dying woman's son for the full 60 hours it takes to move from a provisional permit to a driver's license. He wanted to get a license, and the church stepped in. I've seen people taking another family's kids on vacation because the health situation was at home, such that the child wouldn't get a vacation without that generosity. I know someone who did a dying congregant's taxes for her. The generosity of giving just takes my breath away. On each of these caring committees, there came a time when someone asked the question, who here is ready to give help? And all raised their hands. Then the parallel question, who is ready to ask for and receive help, is asked. And a half, or a quarter, or no hands go up. Yet when I asked a dear friend who was dying what the gifts of that reality were for her, she said, I have learned to ask for help. I never could do that before. There are three kinds of receiving. First, there is the gift we get when we receive and we didn't even ask. Maybe we are being strong and going to prove to the world we don't need to ask for help. Maybe we don't even know we have a need that could be met. Maybe we don't even, but remember that time when someone just stepped forward with their skills, knowing your need, and wow, it was handled. I remember vividly the time that I was headed off to an important interview. I chose to wear a white suit. I thought it would make me memorable, despite the fact that it was a rainy day. A really rainy day. So the car gets a flat, and as soon as I'm over on the shoulder on 495, a guy pulls in right in front of me. He jumps out of his car and says, "Time me." He has my tire changed in 3 minutes and 50 seconds. I am falling in love with him for his kindness. I tell him his time, and he says, "Good time," and jumps back in his car, and I arrived immaculate, on time, and very, very happy to have received without asking. Or perhaps as a child, you're thinking about the neighbor who taught you to throw a ball when your parents weren't good at that. The time someone offered to take your nearly adult son shopping for a suit, someone with great taste and an eye for a budget. You knew it would be well done, your son would come out looking great, and you knew you were incapable of doing it well. You have your story. Maybe you can think of it now. Right now, I'm giving thanks to the speed tire changer and to the shopper who helped my friend's sons. You didn't even ask. You didn't even have to ask. Those kind people just stepped forward and filled the need you didn't even know you had. There is grace in the giving and grace in the receiving when you haven't even asked. Then there is receiving when you do ask. This is so hard for me, maybe for you too, likely for you. Once my husband was in a bike accident. Our son was with him. My husband in a hospital 1,000 miles from where I was. Our 11-year-old son was with him, but unable to go into the emergency room because he was too young. Son's in the lobby with a social worker. I'm in Rhode Island. I called my husband's oldest son and told him the situation. He said one of the kindest things I have ever heard. Alexa, what do you want to happen? I can't guarantee it will, but let me know. I told him, he did it, and we were all reunited within a short time. I asked, and his answer was a gift. Grace. I don't know if he felt it, but I did. Grace indeed, kindness indeed. But what about when there is no crisis? Could you ask for help when you needed it, but the request didn't involve a child, a hospital, and a social worker? Was there a time you asked a friend to pick up the kids and take them somewhere because you needed time to grieve or think or wrap up a critical work project? And he stepped up. Or maybe you didn't ask and life was just a bit harder for you because you stood alone. Was there a time you asked someone to drive you to the doctor because you couldn't drive after the procedure you'd be getting, and she just said yes? Or maybe you didn't ask and the chance for a growing connection with your friend was lost. Or the time you asked, what did you ask for or not ask for? You know, I don't. What I know is that the ask takes bravery. The ask is vulnerable, and just thinking of doing it can make me feel small. What if he or she says no? What if I am in their debt? What if? What if he or she, but what I know, I've done it, and life is better. But what I know when I've done it is that life is better. Intimacy grows, and for me, that is a good thing. One way to ease into that challenge of asking is to think, I value you enough to receive help from you. I trust you. I'm open to you and a growing friendship. That kind of framing can help me get over the hump and ask for help I need. And of course, all this begs the question, when should I ask? If your threshold is a bit lower than a crisis, then there's a decision here, isn't there? One idea is to look at when your spirit, your intellect, and your body all line up with an idea. Actually, I find this to be a good way to make many of my most important life decisions. I hold the idea in my head a bit. I breathe a few times, try to put that decision in my body and really feel how making that decision would make me feel. Then I try to bring in my spirit, try to imagine it if asking is what feels right. When I was talking with Cheryl Dodwell about this, she said, I'm finding that if I take time to breathe, center myself, and feel some degree of integration in my body, mind, and spirit, I can mindfully consider the situation, and then I act with a bit more clarity. Oh yes, that sounds great to me. And then that final kind of receiving from yourself. What might you receive? Gentleness, kindness, a bit of extra time to rest, or taking that walk despite the fact that it doesn't seem to fit into your day. Receiving from yourself is self-care. The crew on the airplane says, put the oxygen mask on yourself before you put it on those who need help. They are right. Without the air to care for yourself, you can't help those who need help. You can't do the job that needs doing and thrive in your own right. Breathe in, breathe out. The inward and the outward breath go together. And without conscious self-care, you won't have the capacity to hold yourself in love or to hold others in love. Receiving without asking, Receiving after asking, allowing yourself to give and receive to yourself. All promote gratitude, and I know that gratitude is good for the heart, good for the mind, and I'd even say good for the soul. I can't feel gratitude without receiving first. Give someone the chance to feel your gratitude. Accept their gifts of kindness and care. Accept and feel blessed.